Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Abdurazak and I'm here on Sarah's Spot with Brandy LeGault from Guild Mortgage.
Hello.
I wanted to bring some expertise into the conversation today about our buyer process. And so last week we talked about what are the first steps, and I wanted to elaborate on the lending side of things. So here she is, and we'll get started. So I wanted to ask for everybody out there, what is the first conversation like when you go ahead and you meet with a lender?
Well, typically your first conversation should be along the lines of coming in and the lender is going to ask you questions to see maybe what you would be approved for. They're going to analyze your employment history, your credit. They should talk about what your comfort range is as far as payments and how much money you have available down, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, to sort of get the brain thinking about what kind of package they might fit into or what they want to do with the money.
And it's not always about what you qualify for. It's really important to have the conversations about what your comfort range is for a payment, because sometimes somebody might qualify for more than what their actual comfort range is.
I talked about that last week too, so I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. So what documentation do you need to have with you on that first visit or maybe the second visit? What's your preference?
Most of the time it's very helpful if you can bring in 30 days of current pay stubs, the last 2 years W-2s and tax returns, and the most recent 2-month statements for all asset accounts, and that includes, your standard checking and savings, retirement, 401k, stocks and bonds, all those count.
Okay.
If you have other properties, there may be some additional requirements, like the current mortgage statements for all those, and insurance and taxes on all those. But that's something that, as the mortgage person is getting to know you, they'll ask questions, and then they might add on to your initial list.
Okay. All right. So what if buyer, let's say, is getting a gift from grandma to help them with a down payment? Is that something that you need up front, do you think?
You don't need it up front.
Okay.
What you would want to do, actually, to make the flow easier for the process, is discuss exactly how much you would need. And then once you actually get under contract on a home and you fine-tune the amount, then you would get the gift, and the lender would probably have a specific gift letter that would have to be filled out, and they would give you the required documentation to go along with it.
Okay.
Some programs may require the bank statement from the donor and proof that it clears their account, while other requirements simply just may require
The letter.
and a copy of the cashier's check.
Okay. Just a random side note, I know that's come up a couple of times.
Yeah.
So why do you need to pull a client's credit? And I know a lot of people get scared with that. What does it actually do? Does it hurt somebody's credit? Does it stabilize it? What does it do?
The reason that the lender needs to pull your credit report is because a lot of the free credit reports that you get as the consumer are not the same scores that would show up on a mortgage credit report. Anytime your credit is pulled, depending on what type of agency is pulling it and for what purpose, they can come up with different scoring modules and therefore reflect different credit scores.
Okay. So does it, ultimately, if somebody's shopping in the same month and they're getting to talk to a couple of lenders, is it detrimental to them? I mean, are we going to drop like 10 points, or are we going to drop 3?
You typically see a drop in just a couple of points. It's very rare that you would see 10.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, if you have, if you're shopping rates and one lender needs to pull your credit and then you go to another and they pull your credit, as long as they're pulled within 45 days of each other, they're not supposed to affect you.
Right.
More than one time.
That's great to know. That's really great to know. So, all right, so wrapping it up, 3 tips that you think would be the ultimate from your point of view to give to a buyer.
As you're getting ready to start shopping for a home, definitely meet with a lender first to determine what you can qualify for.
I told them that last week. They said before you even come talking to me, go talk to a lender so that you know that you've established some ground. Yeah.
Exactly. Just know that you don't want to have any major changes going on, like income, job changes. You don't want to
Don't buy the Ferrari right now.
Don't buy a new car. And also know that any large deposits into your bank account are going to need to be sourced if they're not from payroll.
What does source mean? Mean vetted and in your account for 30 days, or
Well,
where it
sourced,
came from?
yeah, sourced is we need to know where it comes from and be able to source that. So, you know, if it's a gift that you had gotten prior, then we might have to have you fill out the gift documentation. If it was money you had under your mattress, that might pose a problem for financing. So you may have
Put
to
it in a savings account, please. Get some interest on it. Okay, that's really great advice. Thank you so much for being with us on our second week on the buyer process, and we'll wrap it up and say goodbye. Thanks for stopping
Thanks
in.
for having me.
Cheers. Good job. That was fun.